My friends, let me ask you something right at the start. Have you ever noticed how quickly circulation affects every single part of your daily life? When your blood is moving freely, you feel lighter on your feet, more energetic, even more connected to your spouse or partner. But when circulation slows down, everything feels heavier. Your legs get tired, your energy drops, and yes, even intimacy becomes harder to enjoy. That's what brings us to today's conversation. Top 3 fruits that boost your circulation and intimacy after 60. Senior health tips. I want to share a story that might sound familiar. A gentleman in his late 60s, we'll call him Robert, came to see me about a year ago. Robert had always been an active man. He loved gardening, walking his dog, even ballroom dancing with his wife. But recently, he told me he had started avoiding the dance floor. His legs felt weak after only a few songs, and he admitted, quietly, almost embarrassed, that intimacy at home just wasn't what it used to be. He thought maybe it was just age, that this was how life after 60 had to be, but I assured him it wasn't the end of the story. For those of you joining me for the first time, my name is Dr. Nolan Easton. I've spent more than 30 years helping men and women over 60 find practical, natural ways to improve their health, energy, and intimacy. Over the years, I've seen countless patients like Robert who thought their best days were behind them. And time and again, I've seen how small, simple changes can completely turn things around. That's what today's video is really about. You don't need complicated treatments, you don't need to feel embarrassed or defeated, and you certainly don't have to give up the parts of life that make you feel alive. Circulation is key, and nature, in its wisdom, has already provided us with some of the best tools to support it. Believe it or not, some of the fruits you may already enjoy have the power to open blood vessels, improve energy, and even restore that spark of intimacy that so many couples miss after 60. When Robert came to see me, one of the first steps we took wasn't a pill, wasn't a medical device, it was food. Together, we built a plan centered around certain fruits proven to boost circulation naturally. And the results? Within a few months, Robert told me he and his wife were back to dancing 2 or 3 nights a week, and the private moments at home were filled with laughter instead of frustration. That transformation didn't just change his health, it restored a piece of his marriage. Before we dive into the details, I want to pause here and say something important. If you're watching this and thinking, well, I'm too old for change, or my circulation has been poor for years, please don't close that door on yourself. I've seen men in their 80s make incredible progress. Age doesn't disqualify you, it simply means we need to be smart, gentle, and consistent with the choices we make. Now, let me ask you directly. Do you believe the foods you eat every day could make a difference in how you feel tomorrow? If your answer is yes, type yes in the comments below. If you're more skeptical, type no. Either way, I read through your responses carefully because they help me shape these conversations in a way that truly serves you. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. It really does let me know you value these talks, and it ensures you won't miss the practical tips we share week after week. Back to Robert's story. You see, the circulatory system is like the plumbing in your home. When the pipes are clear, water flows easily, reaching every room without effort. But when buildup happens, when blockages form, pressure increases and flow slows. The same thing happens in your body with cholesterol, inflammation, and age-related changes. But fruits, certain fruits, are like nature's drain cleaners. They don't just feed you, they actively help clear and relax those vessels so blood can move the way it's supposed to. One of the beautiful things about using fruits for circulation is that they come packaged with more than just vitamins. They're filled with antioxidants, natural compounds that relax blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and even encourage the production of nitric oxide, the very same molecule that allows blood to flow freely into the areas of your body that support intimacy. When Robert and I went over his diet, I noticed he was eating apples and bananas daily, which are fine, but he was missing the real circulation-boosting powerhouses. We introduced him to 3 very specific fruits: easy to find in any grocery store, and honestly, delicious. At first he laughed and said, "Doc, you're telling me my medicine is in the produce aisle." I smiled and said, "Exactly." Now, I won't list them like bullet points because this isn't about memorizing a grocery list. It's about understanding the story your body tells when you fuel it the right way. Think of your heart and vessels like musicians in an orchestra. When everything is in tune, the music is smooth, beautiful, and strong. But if even one instrument falls out of rhythm, the whole symphony suffers. These fruits, when added into your diet, help bring the orchestra back into harmony. They clear the noise, smooth out the flow, and allow your body to perform as it was designed. And here's the part that excites so many of my patients. The improvements in circulation don't just help with walking or energy, they directly impact intimacy. Blood flow is the foundation of sexual health no matter your age. If blood isn't reaching where it needs to, intimacy suffers. But when we nourish the body properly, doors that once seemed locked begin to open again. That's why Robert's story turned around so beautifully. His wife even came with him to one of his follow-up visits just to thank me. She said, "I got my husband back." Those words still stick with me today. Think about how that could play out in your own life. Imagine sitting down to dinner with your spouse, sharing a bowl of fruit, not just as a sweet treat, but as a medicine you both enjoy together. Imagine noticing, week by week, that your steps feel lighter, that your afternoons aren't weighed down by fatigue, and that your nights are filled with more closeness, laughter, and joy. That's what these fruits can unlock. You see, too often, people think change has to be dramatic or difficult. But real health is built on small, consistent choices. A piece of fruit added to your day might seem simple, but over time it shifts the entire rhythm of your body. It's not about a single meal, it's about building a lifestyle that supports you in the decades ahead. As I sit here sharing this with you, I want you to remember, you're not alone in your struggles with circulation or intimacy. Millions of men and women over 60 face these same challenges, quietly and sometimes painfully. But you don't have to carry it quietly. You can take action, you can make changes, and yes, you can feel better. That's the heart of this message today. Nature is generous. It gives us tools that are within reach, affordable, and delicious. All we need to do is welcome them into our lives. And when we do, we often find that the changes ripple out, not just in our bodies, but in our relationships, our confidence, even our sense of purpose. So as we continue this journey together, stay with me. Robert's story is just one example, but I want you to see how this can become your story too. When Robert and I first sat down to talk about his diet, he admitted something that many of you might also feel. He said, "Doc, I don't think fruit can really make a difference. I've been eating apples for years and nothing's changed." And I understood his skepticism. After all, when we think about food, we often think of it only as fuel or as something that simply fills us up. But certain fruits do more than that. They act almost like natural medicine for your blood vessels. So I asked Robert, what if I told you there are fruits that don't just give you vitamins, but that actually signal your blood vessels to relax and open? What if a simple addition to your breakfast or afternoon snack could bring more energy to your day and more closeness to your nights? That's when he leaned in, and I could tell he was ready to listen. The first fruit I encouraged Robert to start eating was the pomegranate. Now, you may have seen these round red fruits in the grocery store, maybe even walked past them because they look tricky to open. But inside, they hold ruby red seeds that are bursting with compounds called polyphenols. Don't worry about the science term, but matters is what they do. These natural compounds help your blood vessels relax, reduce stiffness, and improve circulation. When blood vessels relax, blood flows more freely. That means your legs and feet feel less heavy. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. And yes, blood can reach those intimate areas that many men and women over 60 worry about. In fact, research has shown that drinking pomegranate juice regularly can improve blood flow to the heart and even enhance performance in the bedroom. Robert was hesitant at first. He wasn't sure how to eat it, So we made it simple. He started by drinking a small glass of pure pomegranate juice a few times a week. And on weekends, he and his wife would scoop out the seeds and sprinkle them over yogurt. It became a ritual, something they shared together. And within weeks, Robert noticed his energy was higher in the afternoons. The heaviness in his legs had eased, and he told me with a grin, "Doc, I think my wife is enjoying this fruit as much as I am." This is what I want you to see. It's not about forcing yourself into some complicated diet. It's about finding joy in small additions that taste good and feel good. The beauty of fruits like pomegranate is that they don't just work on your circulation, they support your overall health. They're filled with antioxidants that protect your cells from damage, keeping your body younger from the inside out. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever tried pomegranate before? If you have, type yes in the comments below. If you've never touched one, type no. I'll be looking to see how many of you are already enjoying this powerful fruit, and I might even share some easy recipes in the future to make it less intimidating. And while you're at it, if this message is resonating with you, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. It may seem like a small gesture, but it really does help us grow this community and bring these life-changing conversations to more people who need them. Back to Robert. Once he saw that the pomegranate was making a difference, he was eager to try more. And that led us to the second fruit, something much simpler, something you probably already know and maybe even enjoy every morning. Berries. Whether it's blueberries, strawberries, or raspberries, these small, colorful fruits pack a powerful punch for your circulation. Why berries? Because they're rich in flavonoids, which act almost like protectors for your blood vessels. They help reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and improve the flexibility of your arteries. Think of your blood vessels like garden hoses. If the hoses are stiff, water struggles to flow through. But if they're soft and flexible, water glides easily. Berries help keep those vessels supple and responsive. I remember the look on Robert's face when I explained this. He laughed and said, "Doc, I thought berries were just for dessert." And I told him that's the beauty of it. They're delicious, but they're also medicine. He started adding a handful of blueberries to his morning oatmeal, and his wife began freezing strawberries to blend into smoothies. It wasn't a chore, it was a pleasure. Over time, Robert reported something interesting. Not only did his energy continue to improve, but his mood did too. That's another little secret about fruits like berries. They're not just good for your circulation, they're good for your brain. Better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients reaching the brain, and that often translates into clearer thinking, better memory, and yes, even a brighter outlook on life. His wife told me he's smiling more these days, and I can tell he feels lighter. And isn't that what we all want after 60? To feel lighter, to feel freer, to wake up with energy and go to bed with peace? That's what circulation supports, and these fruits are simply tools to unlock it. Now, if you're sitting at home thinking, "I don't know if I could eat fruit every day," let me reassure you, you don't need a mountain of it. Just a handful of berries, just a small glass of pomegranate juice. These are manageable, realistic steps, and each step builds on the last. Over time, your body begins to respond, your circulation strengthens, and you notice the changes in ways big and small. Robert was a perfect example. When we started, he struggled to dance more than 10 minutes without feeling winded. But with these simple fruit changes, plus some light walking, he gradually built up his stamina. Months later, he proudly told me he had danced through an entire evening without once needing to sit out. And then, in a quieter moment, he leaned in and said, "Doc, the changes in the bedroom, let's just say my wife and I are both smiling again." That's the kind of transformation I want for you. Not just numbers on a chart, not just medical improvements, but real, tangible changes that bring joy, intimacy, and connection back into your life. The thing about circulation is that it's often invisible until it causes problems. You don't see your blood moving, but you feel the consequences when it slows. Heaviness, fatigue, poor intimacy, these are the signals. By listening to those signals and making simple changes, you give yourself a chance to reclaim what feels lost. And in my 30 years of practice, I've seen it happen again and again. So
let me encourage you. Don't underestimate the power of something as simple as fruit. Nature has designed these foods not just to feed us, but to heal us. And when we invite them into our daily lives, they repay us with energy, clarity, and closeness. Robert's journey is still ongoing, but every time he and his wife come back for a checkup, I can see the change in their faces. They're not weighed down by frustration anymore. They're living with joy. And that joy, I believe, is available to you too. When Robert came back for his next follow-up, he was already glowing with the changes he had made. The pomegranate had become his weekend ritual, and the berries were his daily staple. But he asked me a question that I think many of you might wonder as well. He leaned back in his chair and said, "Doc, is there one more fruit? Something easy, something I can snack on or add in, that would really make this whole picture complete?" And I smiled, because there is one more fruit that brings everything together. It's a fruit many of you already know, perhaps from summertime picnics or family gatherings. It's the watermelon. Now, you might not think of watermelon as anything more than a sweet, refreshing treat for a hot day, but hidden in that juicy red flesh is something remarkable. Watermelon contains a natural compound called citrulline. Again, I won't get too scientific, but here's what matters. Citrulline helps your body produce nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is the very molecule that relaxes and opens your blood vessels, improving blood flow throughout your entire body. Think about that for a moment. A fruit you can slice and enjoy in the afternoon can have the same power as some of the most expensive medications are designed to do: help your blood vessels open and stay flexible. And unlike a pill, there are no side effects, no risks, just sweet, refreshing nourishment that your body recognizes and loves. When I told Robert about this, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Doc, are you telling me a slice of watermelon can work better than some of those bottles in the pharmacy?" And I answered, in many cases, yes, it can, especially when combined with the other fruits we've already added. So he tried it. At first he thought of watermelon as a treat, but soon it became part of his routine. He would slice a few pieces after dinner, sometimes sharing it with his wife on the porch. Other times he blended it into a smoothie with a few strawberries and a squeeze of lemon. It was simple, delicious, and most importantly, it was helping his circulation in a very real way. After just a few weeks, he told me he noticed something profound. Not only was his energy better during the day, but intimacy had taken on a new life at night. He laughed as he told me this, but then he grew serious. "Doc," he said, "I thought those days were behind me, but I feel like I'm getting a second chance." That's the gift of circulation. It's not just about the physical body, it's about the connections you share with the people you love. When blood flows freely, energy rises, confidence returns, and relationships flourish. And in Robert's case, his marriage was blooming again. His wife even joked during one visit, "I don't know what you gave him, but thank you for giving me back my husband."
Now, you might not think of watermelon as anything more than a sweet, refreshing treat for a hot day. But hidden in that juicy red flesh is something remarkable. Watermelon contains a natural compound called citrulline. Again, I won't get too scientific, but here's what matters. Citrulline helps your body produce nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the very molecule that relaxes and opens your blood vessels, improving blood flow throughout your entire body. Think about that for a moment. A fruit you can slice and enjoy in the afternoon has the power to do the same thing that some of the most expensive medications are designed to do: help your blood vessels open and stay flexible. And unlike a pill, there are no side effects, no risks, just sweet, refreshing nourishment that your body recognizes and loves. When I told Robert about this, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Doc, are you telling me a slice of watermelon can work better than some of those bottles in the pharmacy?" And I answered, in many cases, yes, it can, especially when combined with the other fruits we've already added. So he tried it. At first, he thought of watermelon as a treat, but soon it became a part of his routine. He would slice a few pieces after dinner, sometimes sharing it with his wife on the porch.
Other times, he blended it into a smoothie with a few strawberries and a squeeze of lemon. It was simple, delicious, and most importantly, it was helping his circulation in a very real way. After just a few weeks, he told me he noticed something profound. Not only was his energy better during the day, but intimacy had taken on a new life at night. He laughed as he told me this, but then he grew serious. "Doc," he said, "I thought those days were behind me, but I feel like I'm getting a second chance." That's the gift of circulation. It's not just about the physical body, it's about the connections you share with the people you love. When blood flows freely, energy rises, confidence returns, and relationships flourish. And in Robert's case, his marriage was blooming again. His wife even joked during one visit, "I don't know what you gave him, but thank you for giving me back my husband." Now, let me pause here and ask you, how many of you enjoy watermelon already? If you do, type yes in the comments. If it's been years since you've had it, type no. I'll be reading those answers, and I want to know if this is a fruit you'd be willing to bring back into your life. And while you're down there, please remember to click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Every time you do, it helps this message reach another person who may be struggling quietly with the same issues. Robert's story shows us something important. It's not about one single fruit or one single meal. It's about weaving these gifts from nature into your daily life until they become habits. A handful of berries, a glass of pomegranate juice, a slice of watermelon. Together, they create a rhythm of nourishment that supports your circulation day after day. And when circulation improves, so much else follows. One of the surprising things Robert mentioned was how his sleep had improved. He said he was waking up more rested without the restless legs that used to trouble him at night. That's another benefit of better circulation. When your blood moves more freely, your body can relax more deeply. That means your muscles repair themselves, your brain processes memories, and your heart beats more calmly. It's a cascade of positive effects, all beginning with the simple choices you make at your dinner table. And here's something else to think about. These fruits aren't just good for circulation, they're also full of hydration. At our age, dehydration is more common than people realize. Even mild dehydration can cause fatigue, dizziness, and muscle cramps. But when you eat fruits like watermelon and berries, you're not just nourishing your vessels, you're giving your body water in its purest, most natural form. That's why so many of my patients, like Robert, report feeling more refreshed and energized after making these changes. I often tell my patients that health isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. You don't need to eat a mountain of fruit every day. You don't need to cut out everything you love. Instead, you add in what supports you step by step until it becomes part of who you are. And before long, you realize you're living with more vitality, more joy, and more connection. Robert's story touched me deeply because it reminded me why I do this work. It's not just about blood vessels or circulation. It's about giving people back their lives, their confidence, their relationships. When Robert and his wife came to see me for his last checkup, they were holding hands like newlyweds. They laughed, they shared stories, and they radiated happiness. That's the kind of outcome that keeps me hopeful for every patient who walks through my door. And that's the kind of outcome I want for you. I want you to feel that spark again, to know that your body is still capable of change, that intimacy and energy are not things of the past. They are available to you now, with the right choices. So as you think about what we've talked about today, remember Robert's story. He didn't make drastic changes. He didn't start with complicated diets or difficult routines. He started with fruit. Simple, natural, delicious fruit. And from there, his entire life began to transform. When Robert and his wife walked into my office during his most recent visit, I almost didn't recognize the man in front of me. The slumped shoulders were gone, the tired eyes had brightened, and he carried himself with a lightness that hadn't been there before. His wife was smiling too, and I could sense a closeness between them that spoke volumes without a word being said. "Doc," he said, "I feel like myself again. No, actually, I feel better than I have in years." He paused and chuckled, and my wife would agree with that. She laughed and squeezed his hand, and in that moment, I could see what true healing looks like. Not just in numbers on a chart, but in the joy shared between two people. That transformation was built on something so simple. A glass of pomegranate juice, a handful of berries, a few slices of watermelon. 3 fruits. That's it. No complicated instructions, no painful sacrifices. Just 3 gifts from nature that, when woven into his daily life, brought back circulation, energy, and intimacy. And I want to pause here and speak directly to you. Maybe you've been listening to Robert's story and thinking, that sounds good, but I don't know if it could happen for me. Maybe you've struggled for years with heavy legs, low energy, or a fading intimacy that you quietly grieve. I want you to know something important. It is never too late. I've seen men and women in their 70s and 80s experience the same kind of renewal Robert has found. Your body has not given up on you. Your heart is still strong, your vessels are still capable of change, and your life still has chapters of joy waiting to be written. This is why I've spent more than 30 years focusing on men's health and senior vitality. Because I've seen over and over that the right choices, made consistently, made gently, can turn the tide. And the beauty of it all is that these choices aren't exotic or expensive. They're right in your grocery store, right in your kitchen, waiting to be enjoyed.
Now, I'd like to ask you something. Do you believe you deserve to feel vibrant, connected, and intimate again after 60? If your answer is yes, type yes in the comments below. If you're unsure, type no. I read your answers personally, and they help me shape future conversations so that together we can address the challenges you face most. And while you're at it, please click that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. It may seem like a small action, but it's how we grow this community and continue to share these life-changing messages with others who may need them even more than you realize. Let's return to Robert for a moment. What struck me wasn't just his physical improvement, it was the way his whole outlook had shifted. Before, he had accepted fatigue and poor intimacy as just part of aging. But once he began to see real changes, his perspective shifted. He started planning more outings with his wife, taking longer walks with his dog, even inviting his grandchildren over more often because he felt he had the energy to keep up with them. Health, when it improves, doesn't stay in one corner of your life. It spreads into every part of it. That's what circulation really is when you think about it. It's not just blood moving through your body, it's life moving through your days. When it flows freely, everything else comes alive too. Your muscles, your mind, your relationships, your spirit. That's why I feel so strongly about these simple, natural tools. They're not just about the body, they're about restoring the fullness of life. I remember Robert's wife looking at me during that last visit and saying, "I got my partner back. And more than that, I got my best friend back." That touched me deeply, because isn't that what we all long for? To feel like ourselves again, to share love and laughter without the barriers that age can sometimes put in the way. If you take one message from today, let it be this: your story isn't over. You still have chapters of energy, closeness, and joy ahead. And the path toward them may be as simple as choosing the right fruits day after day, letting your body do what it was designed to do: heal, repair, and thrive. As we close this conversation, I want to leave you with encouragement. Whether you're already eating pomegranate, berries, and watermelon, or whether you've never tried them before, it's not about perfection. It's about taking one small step today. Maybe it's sprinkling a few blueberries on your breakfast. Maybe it's pouring a glass of pomegranate juice this evening. Maybe it's cutting a slice of watermelon tomorrow afternoon.
Whatever it is, take that step and know that you are investing in your vitality, your relationships, and your future. Robert's story began with hesitation, with doubt, with the belief that decline was inevitable, but it ended with renewal, with joy, and with intimacy restored. And I believe your story can end the same way, if you choose to begin. So here's my final invitation. Start today. Believe in the possibility of change, and trust that even the simplest gifts from nature can open doors you thought were closed forever. You deserve to feel alive, to feel connected, to feel whole. And you can, because your body is waiting to respond to the care you give it. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and it has been my honor to share these tips with you. Take this message to heart, share it with someone you love, and remember, you're never too old to feel young again.